Hello, it's Lucy, and today I'm going to be talking about the quarter system at Northwestern University. So I'll be talking about the pros, the cons, the difficulty, and more. So let's get started. So most universities follow a semester system, which means there are 2 semesters throughout the school year, 1 fall and 1 spring, and then they have the summer off. Some other universities like Northwestern, Stanford, Caltech, UChicago follow a quarter system where there are 3 quarters during the school year, fall, winter, and spring, and then summer quarter is optional for those who want to take classes. So fall quarter typically starts around the 3rd week of September, and during that time you can add and drop classes for the first week of classes. And then the drop deadline is usually late October, around the last week of October. So in between that time, professors typically try to hand out their first round of midterms so that students can have their first round of midterm grades back before they make a decision on whether or not they want to keep or drop any of their classes. After the drop deadline, it is typically midterm season all the way until Thanksgiving break. So professors will typically hand out midterms around close to Thanksgiving break, but honestly, I just hear all of my friends saying they have a midterm at least once a week, from essentially starting from the 3rd week of school all the way until Thanksgiving. And then we have a small break for Thanksgiving, so our last day of classes is usually on Wednesday, and then the students will fly back home around Wednesday and then come back on campus usually that following weekend. During this time, classes are not in session, and it's typically discouraged to have assignments due over Thanksgiving break, although it is not unheard of. After Thanksgiving break, students come back to campus and reading week starts. So this is a time when no classes are in session, and it's a time for students to kind of take a break before finals week and study, and hence the term reading week. You know, read up on your textbooks and get ready for your finals. However, I would like to point out that reading week is only observed by Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences. So if you are in Medill or College of Engineering or CESP or any of the other specialty schools, they do not observe reading week. So unfortunately, you will still have classes. And after reading week, there is finals week, so at this time nobody has classes and everyone has finals scheduled and scattered throughout the week. And then afterwards there's winter break, so just got to get through that 1 week. Once winter break starts, we usually have 3 weeks of winter break, so that'll usually be around early December to the beginning of January. And then winter quarter starts usually the 1st week of January. I would like to point out that Northwestern has a pretty short winter break and classes start fairly early. For example, when I was going to Cornell, which is based on the semester system, I got out of classes in late December, and then I didn't start classes until around early February. So I had over a month off of winter break, and it honestly was really nice. That is one thing I do miss about the semester system. But at the same time, I'm able to take more classes, and I'll go more into detail about that later. So once winter quarter starts, it follows kind of a similar schedule. The first week is meant for add drop. Then around a month later is the drop deadline, so professors try to hand out midterms before that and get grades in so that you can decide whether or not you want to drop a class. And then there's typically midterms just throughout the entire quarter all the way up till reading week. And then after reading week there's finals week, and then there's spring break. So spring break typically happens around mid to late March, and it is 1 week long, and then afterwards spring quarter starts. So our school year doesn't end until early to mid-June, which is fairly late when compared to a semester system where school is typically out by early to mid-May. So that's about a month difference, but at the same time, like I mentioned before, Northwestern starts in late September, whereas normal semester schools start in late August. So it kind of makes up for that 1 month difference. As far as difficulty goes, I definitely think the quarter system is a different beast compared to the semester system. I wouldn't say it's necessarily harder. I guess it depends on what kind of person you are. So in the quarter system, you kind of just have non-stop midterm season anywhere between the third week of school all the way until reading week or finals week, whereas in a semester system school, you would typically have midterms and then kind of a nice lull where you can take a break, and then another round of midterms, and then your finals. The nice thing about the quarter system is that it's faster, so you get more breaks in between. So if you're kind of the person to grind hard and then take a shorter break and then grind hard again, then maybe the quarter system is more for you. Whereas the semester system is kind of drawn out, so you take larger breaks in between, but then you also have a longer duration where you are taking classes. So let's talk about the pros and cons of the quarter system. So starting off with the pros, you get to take more classes, which is really nice because you get to try out new disciplines, you get to experience working with different professors, and it's easier to switch majors or add a major and still fit it in your schedule and graduate on time. That being said, you can also recover from GPA fallbacks more quickly. So let's say you get a bad grade in one class, you'll have around 10 to 12 other classes in the school year that can make up for that grade, whereas if you were in a semester system, you might only have 6 to 8 other classes that can make up for that in your GPA. One con about the quarter system is that it is at a faster pace, so if you happen to fall behind in one of your classes, it's harder to catch back up by the time the quarter ends, whereas if you're at a semester school, you usually have a longer time to catch up on your work before the semester ends. So it's really important to stay on top of all of your classes in the quarter system. Another con is that some courses are actually longer during the quarter system than they would be during the semester system, and this is for courses that are split up over 2 quarters that would typically take only 1 semester. And one example of this is multi or multivariable calculus. It's typically taught in 1 semester at a semester school, but here at Northwestern it's split up into 2 quarters, so the duration of that class actually winds up being longer. In addition, as a transfer student coming from a semester to a quarter system, sometimes the credits don't transfer over the best way. So for example, one of the classes I took at Cornell covered topics in 2 classes at Northwestern. However, I only got credit for 1 class because Northwestern has a 1-to-1 class ratio when transferring. So I wound up having to retake a class with the same material, but this usually doesn't happen too often, so it wouldn't be a big concern. Overall, there are many different pros and cons to going to a quarter system school, and I honestly think the biggest pro is that you just get to take so many more classes than you would at a semester system school. So if you're thinking about double majoring, or you aren't sure what you want to study but you want to pursue multiple interests, then a quarter system would definitely be beneficial for you. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!